Hello and welcome to a new episode of Adobe Creative Cloud TV. My name is Terry White, and in this episode we're going to take a look at a little bit of portrait retouching in Photoshop CC 2015. So I did a portrait shoot. As we can see, I have the images here in Lightroom, and what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pick one of them, kind of testing the waters with this new streaming platform, as well as just how things will work. Of course, streaming Photoshop and doing retouching live and seeing how many people we get to come into this. So thanks for watching, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. Now, the first thing I usually do is take a look at what can be done in Lightroom first, as far as the non-destructive adjustments. Usually, if it's a landscape or objects or a product shot, I can usually do everything I need to do to it in Lightroom. But when it comes to portraits, there's so many more things I can do in Photoshop than I can do in Lightroom that I typically prefer to do my portrait retouching in Photoshop. But that doesn't mean that I don't start in Lightroom with every single shot I take and do as much as I can there first before heading over to Photoshop to finish it. So this is no exception. Let's go ahead and hit the letter D to take it into the develop module. Once I'm in the develop module, I can go ahead and do things like crop the image, adjust any exposure issues, any highlight clipping or shadow loss. In this case, I've got a little bit of both. And also in this case, I can see like just her hand is barely showing. So I've got a crop issue as well. So I'm gonna just go ahead and hit the letter R first and take care of the crop. I'm going to bring it down a little bit from the top to reduce some of the headroom, and then bring it up from the bottom to bring it in even more, just past that thumb. That again, it wasn't enough of the hand to make it worthwhile, so might as well take it off. And that also solved my clipping problem. I guess I had some shadow issues down below that are now taken care of. And now I've got this image or this warning here on the highlights. When you hover over that warning, it will show you in red any areas that are being clipped. And I can see that it's really just the shininess of her buttons. These were highlighting in red when I did that, which is why that was going on. So I kind of know now that really the highlights aren't that bad. It's just in those shiny buttons that we're losing the detail, and it's in an area that, frankly, I just don't care. All right, so let's go ahead and select the white balance eyedropper. We'll go ahead and just click to set this to a better white balance. And again, if you want to warm it up, you can just warm it up a little bit more or a little bit less if you wanted to cool it off. So you can still control the temperature even after you use the white balance eyedropper. And if you did want to fix that highlight issue, if it can be fixed, you can drag right on the histogram to bring down the whites in that photo to correct that problem. So each one of these areas are defined in the histogram. You got the blacks, shadows, exposure or midtones, highlights, and whites. So just by dragging right underneath that that warning to the left, I will get the clipping taken care of. All right, so next thing I'd probably do is just scroll up a little bit here and go to the presets that are built into Lightroom. I typically always run the sharpen faces, which is over here on the left. And I also tend to, hey Jason, I see, I just glanced over the chat. I see that Jason's watching. Hey Beetlejuice, how's it going? And I'm just gonna go ahead and pump up the vibrance just a little bit here. And the next thing I would probably do is, if the exposure looks good, I've clicked the sharpen, I've adjusted the vibrance up a little bit. The last thing I typically do before heading to Photoshop is take a look at what I can do with the point curve, or with the tone curve, I should say. The whole tone curve adjustments is really for adjusting the contrast of the image. And there's some nice presets built in right here. You've got linear, medium, and strong. And I just typically toggle between all three and see if I like one better than the other. And I'm going to go ahead and click on medium. Medium's okay. Strong's too much because I'm losing too much detail in the hair. And then I'll go back to linear And linear is giving me more detail, but it's looking a little bit, just a tiny bit more washed out. So I'll probably go to medium. Now, if you don't like what any of those presets did, you can go ahead and make your adjustments right on the tone curve itself. So if I didn't like what it was doing in the shadows, I could just bring up the shadow area just by dragging and adjusting the curve manually. So even if you don't like the preset, you can still adjust it after the fact. All right, I've got a couple of background operations going on. One of the cool things about Lightroom is that I can have things going on in the background while I continue to work. So I've got, looks like 3 folders of images that are being moved off my laptop drive over to my server, and that'll just keep running in the background until that process happens. In the meantime, I've been able to work on this image, and now I can hit Command E on the Mac, Control E on Windows, and that will take this image over to Photoshop. Let's see. And here we are. So it's popping up in Photoshop now. And hi, Victoria. Stream looks great, sounds great. Thanks, Jason. That was helping me with my test here. And I'm going to try changing scenes while this is happening. So I'm going to just turn the webcam off for a second here while this is going and just show the desktop. There we go. All right, we've got the image open in Photoshop. Here, we'll grab our zoom tool. We'll zoom in just a little bit here so we can begin working on it. And so people always ask the question, where do you start when it comes to portrait retouching? The first thing you tend to start with is what was bothering you. So when I was in Lightroom, the thing that was bothering me the most was the crop. Just the fact that it was that little bit of hand was showing was so distracting that that was the first thing I had to take care of. In this case, she's looking good. There's not a whole lot of things wrong. There's lots of little stray hairs that are bothering me, but I would probably take care of those next. She's got some pimples and typical things that we all have that we'll go ahead and just start taking care of some of those first. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the spot healing tool. With the spot healing tool, I'm going to go ahead and we'll just go ahead and dive in here with the spot healing tool. Now, you can set the brush by either using the bracket keys. I'm on a Wacom Cintiq, and just let me switch back to the webcam here for a second. One of the things that, if you're going to do retouching and you're serious about it, you definitely want to get yourself a tablet. Now, I'm working on Wacom's best of the best Cintiq, which is a monitor that has a tablet built in. So the actual display itself is my tablet, pressure sensitive. But regardless, any tablet you can find, $79 tablet, $69 tablet on up, is better than the most expensive mouse. So if you're going to do retouching, if you're serious about working in Photoshop or Illustrator and doing any type of drawing or using any of the tools, having a pressure sensitive tool is the key. So I can't even imagine trying to retouch on a mouse or trackball or trackpad or trackball anymore. I used to do it on the trackpad, and now I'd probably commit suicide if I had to do it again on a trackpad. So you definitely want to have a tablet of some kind. Any of them technically are better than your mouse. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and jump back over and continue our work. All right, so I've got the spot healing tool here, and we'll just go ahead and do just a couple brush strokes. And these brush strokes, it's picking up the texture of the skin surrounding the area that I'm brushing. So I can just go ahead and brush to my heart's content. Now there's a second healing brush under this one. So if you don't like it picking up the surrounding area and you want to dictate where it picks up from, then you can just switch to the healing brush tool, and that will allow you to select an area just like the clone stamp tool that you want to heal from. But most of the time, I'm very happy with the spot healing brush. I rarely want to pick up. So it looks like I'm getting a bank notification there. Let's go ahead and turn off notifications while we're at it. All right, there we go. And let's continue working. All right. So that's a side note. Next time I do this, I'll want to turn off desktop notifications. So we just don't have emails and chat messages popping up when we don't want them to. Definitely Beetlejuice, no trackpads. No, 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 not for retouching. I can't imagine doing that anymore. All right, now when it comes to necklines, again, we all have them. I tend to want to take them all off. Hang on here. That's what happens when your phone rings and it's Scott Kelby calling you. That's my Scott Kelby ringtone, in case you were wondering. I will call him back. All right, so let's also put the phone on silent. So what I'm going to do, when it comes to these necklines, again, you can leave them, you can take them all off, or you can kind of, when we're reducing things, we kind of want to maybe take off every other one so that it looks like less. So same tool, we can go ahead and if they're separated, with enough neck in between, and she's got a nice long neck, this is perfect for modeling, we can go ahead and use this. Now, if we can't, then that's when we switch over to the big brother, the patch tool, and the patch tool will allow me to go ahead and select large areas like this and drag that large area. There we go. Drag that large area down so that it uses it to patch. And so there we go. And let's pull that down again. There we go. And we'll patch that. Okay, so that is the patch tool and how it works. You just make a selection, and you can make your selection. You don't have to make your selection with the patch tool. The patch tool will patch any selection you make with any other tool. So if you make a selection, for example, with the rectangular marquee tool, and then you switch to the patch tool and drag that rectangular marquee, it will do the same thing. All right, next, let's go ahead and again, we can patch the pimples out. We can also spot heal them out as we did before. Now, when it comes to eyes, one of the things I love about Photoshop, the latest version of Photoshop, is that the sharpen tool has this great protect detail default option. And when it's on protect detail, it does a fantastic job of making things sharper without destroying them so quickly. So you can brush a couple times to make the eyes nice and sharp without fear that it's going to start pixelating that part of the image too soon. So we can go ahead and just sharpen that a little bit, and just makes the eyes pop. Sometimes I will also do it on the lips. I will definitely do it on jewelry like earrings, necklaces, anything that should be sharp and should stand out. So eyes are definitely a dead giveaway, and of course any jewelry that they're wearing. Now, when it comes to the dark spots under people's eyes, and of course this can be controlled a lot of times with just better lighting. I did shoot this and light the shot, so it is fairly normal to see this, but you can reduce it by just adding more light there, or if it's darker there, you're going to see it more. So again, it's one of those things we all have. One of the things that we can do is simply, this is one of my favorite tricks about using the patch tool. If I use the patch tool and select it and take it off, then it's going to remove it completely. And the thing about removing it completely is that it can tend to look unnatural because, again, we all have something under our eyes. But if I go ahead and just make that selection, here's the trick, and we go ahead and remove it completely, which is what the patch tool will do. Let's pull it down. There we go, right under it. Oops, and I did the bad thing here. Let's undo. Let's put it back for a second. Let me drag it down one more time. What I was so used to doing was deselecting right away because I wanted to see it. Well, first, if you just want to see it, you can press Command H on Mac, Control H on Windows to hide your selection. But while it's selected, and that's the key, is to keep it selected, you can go up to this option, Fade Patch Selection. And Fade Patch Selection will only be there while it's still selected. If you deselect, then this will be grayed out. You can't fade it anymore. So what this gives you is the ability to bring it back or as we like to refer to it, as undo on a slider. So instead of bringing it all the way back, I can bring back just a small percentage of it so that it looks natural without it being completely gone or without it being completely there. This was the 100% version. Nice, dark lines there. But if I bring it back just a little, then again, it looks more natural, and there is still something under the eye, but just not as dark. Same thing on the other side. We would do it again. Make our selection. We'd pull it down. And again, before you deselect, edit, fade patch selection, and just pull it down ever so slightly to bring some of it back. And again, how much of it you want to bring back is up to you. It's your image, your taste. All right, now we can deselect. Command D on Mac, Control D on Windows. And now when you see little areas like this where clothes are sticking up, you can use a couple of methods to get rid of that. You can either liquefy it and push it down, or we can use the clone stamp tool. And here I'm just going to go ahead and click and just clone it out. And let's make sure we're deselected first. There we go. Okay, I was like, why isn't it doing anything? Because I left it on the other mode I had it on. Let's put it back on normal. There we go. There we go. All right, so that will remove it and just clone some of that background right on its place. All right, so we move down the image. Same thing here. We can go ahead and go back to the spot healing brush. Paint that out a little bit. Paint that out a little bit. And look for any other stray marks or anything that we wouldn't normally see or normally pay attention to. So get rid of a few marks here on the skin. And everything else looks pretty good. Now let's tackle this hair. Hair is beautiful, but in some cases we end up with these little strands of hair that you will always have. If the person has hair, there's no way the hair is going to always be perfect. So that's why we go in and we do a retouch to kind of just make it look the way we remember, because we don't remember those strands of hair that stick out. We just remember the hairstyle. Alrighty. There we go. And just clean this up a little bit more. And we'll come over here, do the same thing. So when I come to a new spot, again, Option or Alt click to make a new selection with the stamp tool for the area that you want to clone. And we'll just go ahead and fix these hairs. Good. And at the top, same thing, Option click, get an area that we want. Go ahead and take care of that. Same thing here, Option click. And sometimes it's also not just about removing hair. Sometimes it's about adding it back in. So here it just looks like a gap in the hair, and we can actually use the clone stamp tool to fill in that gap to kind of make that look more natural. All right, we'll move down. Same thing here. We'll just kind of take care of some of those loose strands that anyone with hair would have. And by the way, when it comes to retouching, you don't think those magazine covers are the image coming right out of the camera, do you? No, it's not. They're actually doing things just like this to make those images, those good images, even better. So we call this finishing our images, not fixing our images. Taking what we started with and making something better. Alrighty. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's zoom out. I like it. All right, so let's do a save. And it's saving. And let's close it. And when we close it, that will return it back to Lightroom. And so it's coming in as a PSD in the edited form. And if we go back to the grid view, we'll see the PSD that will come in and appear right next to the original RAW file. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on the original RAW file, and I can remove it from this collection because I already have the retouch now, so I don't need both of them in the same collection. And also when I look up and I see all edits, then I know that I'm done working on this particular project. All right, guys, I'm going to thank you for joining me on this test of Twitch and live streaming with Twitch TV. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm going to stop streaming for now. I may do another one this weekend, but I'll more than likely do some next week for sure. Thanks, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you on... well, hang on. Let me say it in person. Thanks, guys. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. So, again, if you follow me on Twitter, you will get notified, or if you definitely follow me here on Twitch, you'll get notified when I'm doing a live broadcast, because it will tweet it, and of course it will announce it to anyone following me on Twitch if you have your notifications turned on. So thanks for watching me. Thanks for joining me on this test. Thanks, Jason and Victoria, for the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.